Well, we definitely, I kind of agree with you too. There are other ways to handle it, and but there's laws that we already have on the books that aren't being enforced by our government, and so I don't know. Like I said, it's a tricky situation, and it is meant to divide us because it is a divide and conquer that we are at war here, and it is definitely very important to keep an eye on the martial law type of either training, exercises they're doing. They call them exercises, but just in what's going on. They were talking about maybe evacuating, millions of people with the oil spill. So we need to really be paying attention to what's going on. And I think that through what you guys are doing is a good thing. It definitely needs to have more attention drawn to it for sure.
Yeah. I wanted to also add about the Arizona situation. It's like so many people that have ranches down there are getting attacked, and people have a right to defend themselves. I'm not saying let's go on a witch hunt here. And Warrior for God 13, he's put out several videos with our group, and he brings up a very valid point that, right now the New World Order is trying to stir up a race riot, essentially between, conservatives and the kind of Mexican population that's come in. So we know that they are all about divide and conquer. And so, when I say that I support the Arizona thing, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, people have a right to defend themselves in a situation, but unfortunately the mainstream media, any sort of defending of themselves is going to be painted as a racial act as well. Just as if you disagree with the policies of Barack Obama, then you're automatically a racist, which is a problem. And then I have a couple more comments on the golf, so if you guys want to talk, please feel free.
Well, I agree that there is a problem there. We got drug cartels and everything else, but I'm like I said, it's a tricky situation meant to divide us, and that's what we need to try to get past, and we need to think unity and solidarity with each other, man, because we need to find a common ground because we are under attack on a lot of different fronts. Definitely. What is your take, Paranoid?
I just have to say I agree with Karen that it's Karen, right?
Carrie.
I agree with Carrie that people definitely should have the right to defend their property, and I do see them demonizing anybody who wants to defend their property, which is not very cool in my opinion. I think that anybody should have the right to defend their property from anybody, whether that person came here illegally or was here legally. Shouldn't really even be a thing. Whether that person has brown skin or white skin shouldn't really be a thing. The fact is that's your property and you have the right to defend it.
Definitely, but even the illegals coming across the border, they have rights too, human rights, and it even says something in our Constitution that the peoples here, while they're on our land, have these rights. It isn't just to the citizenship; it's to the people. And if these people are here, then they're part of the people. So I think that everybody should be respected, all their God-given rights respected. But we definitely need to keep order on the border as far as with drug cartels and the big shootouts and the crimes. So it is a touchy situation, but we haven't heard much from Kim. How about we get to talk to her for a minute?
Let me see if I can convince her. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Kim says no.
Carrie,
yeah?
Didn't you say you had something about the golf to go out to let us know about?
I wouldn't say that I have any major updates other than we've been watching the situation, and when we put out a martial law alert, which went viral very, very quickly, and that really kind of shocked us how quickly that went. but the situation with the golf is still the golf is a distraction to a point because a lot of what they're trying to keep people away from looking at to keep people not looking at is this whole financial meltdown that's clearly on the way. And so the golf to a point is a distraction, but it is still a very real problem. And we don't believe for 1 second that BP has really capped this well or anything like that. So just because the mainstream media is telling you everything's fine, there's no indication that that's really the case. And, Kim and I have talked, we're both like, if we were down there, we'd get out because you don't know what the health effects are going to be. People are already, coming down with respiratory problems, and they really, the EPA is not reporting, and that's almost verbatim. It's like we actually came up with a list of a lot of things that are similar between 9/11 and the BP disaster, such as the air quality, that there's no discussion about that really going, oh, everything's fine, but then people are getting sick when they go on the water. And somebody sent off, there was a local news station down in the Gulf that sent off water to a lab, and it exploded, So things are definitely not safe in the Gulf, we don't think, but I guess if we were going to change anything about our martial law alert, it would be, rather than saying they're going to do a mass evacuation right now, they're probably going to save it until the very, very end. That's our speculation now at this point, is that they're going to save it until it's so bad that they have no choice but to do that, because as Rahm Emanuel has said over and over again, or has been quoted over and over again, never let a good crisis go to waste. So that's kind of the two tidbits on the Gulf.
Yeah, I the same way. I think they'll try to use it to the best of their advantage that they can, and which is kind of scary for the future. Paranoid, you want to say something?
No, man, I didn't have anything.
Well, definitely some interesting stuff. Now, what are some other major things kind of going on besides the oil spill thing that you'd like to let our listeners know about?
I think some other areas to really keep our eyes on are the constant cyber attack propaganda that's going on. The establishment obviously wants some sort of a false flag, but they've been talking about that for months. At this point, as far as like looking at the big picture, there's so many different ways that they can go into a martial law scenario that it's not like, oh, that's definitely the one that they're going to do it. But the other area, getting into in Paranoid, you'll find this particular track of thought to go down very interesting, is to what happens if this, what happens when, not if, when a state officially declares bankruptcy. And how is that going to manifest itself in our day-to-day lives? Because, California is on the brink, or has been on the brink for over a year and a half now, of declaring open bankruptcy. So how is that going to manifest when California says, we're bankrupt, there's no more cash going out? Schwarzenegger's already put state employees on minimum wage. How is that going to manifest? And we know that the federal government's only going to use that to continue to weaken the powers of the state versus the feds. And how is that going to play out? So that I think is something that people also need to look at, and it's kind of gotten buried in the middle of all the other stuff going on because it's a multi-front war, and they're just hoping to overwhelm. I think one of the biggest things is they're hoping to overwhelm the population so that they're stuck in fear mode. And when you're in fear mode, you're either going to fight or flight, and the thing is that they don't want you to fight, so they keep throwing things at you, so you're always kind of stuck in this frozen mode of just kind of glaring at, staring at everything in complete shock and awe, and that they're all about that. So, if you guys want to comment.
Well, with the states, being basically starting to be under attack from its own government, that it supports basically, it wouldn't be a government without the states. I see the states revolting, maybe revolting against the government. I don't know, but I could foresee something like that happening. But if there was a collapse of the currency, that's utter chaos. Now, how do we survive something like that? I personally, have, bug out bag and MREs and I'm pretty much trying to prepare for something like this, some kind of scenario where society starts to break down. How do you suggest we prepare?